Okay, just things to remember here. On the right hand side, we have the lights, and we have our ground mesh, which if you go G, it's our ground mesh, and you have our walk mesh, which is G as our walk mesh. Now, if I was to create a copy of this walk mesh, Shift D, right? You see how it puts the 0.001? Blender does that. It adds the end. You don't want that 0.001 in there, so you want to get rid of that too. You want this named about the same as your tile, because you can't have two things named the same, even if it's under um, another tile. So if you have multiple tiles in your hull in Blender, you can't have them have the same name, even though they might be linked to a different parent or row base. So the way it just finds it easier for me if I just create, my tiles E000 underscore 01. So it'll be E000 underscore 01 walk mesh or ground or wall or whatever mesh I'm working on for that tile. So just keep it named the same as my row base, basically. Um, the other thing is you can't go over 16 places for a naming scheme for Neverwinter Nights. So this is one. If you look right up here, I'm starting at the end. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 exactly. Which is using it to the max. Now you don't have to have this front part on there. You can drop it down to where it's just starts at the E. The front part isn't really needed. It is for this part, so you know what's going on. But I mean, under here, these lights could be or whatever, I guess. But I just don't worry about it. I keep them once I know that 16 is good. I know as long as I have this many places in my actual tile name, it's going to be able to add the ML1 or the ML2 or the SL1 or the SL2. But that being said, once you got your tile done, you want to get it exported. So long as you have Neverblender, you can export or import MDL MDL files, which is the Aurora.mdl right there. So you can either import or export. In this case, since we're wanting to export this, we go to the export, and choose where you want to export it. Now, if you have multiples, so let's do this. Shift D, and now we got this one here, GX, which the naming scheme will not work. That 0.00 isn't going to work for Neverwinter Nights, but it's okay. And then Shift D, G. This is just to show something. Now, say I have 3 tile, or whatever I want to export. If I want to do this and this, I hold down Shift and click, hold down Shift and click again, highlight all the ones I want, right? And it doesn't matter where they are in here. Go over to Export, Aurora Base, and then see Batch. You want to Selected, so that way when I export, it's going to export all that's selected. So let's do where we at? Wall, no. Desert tile set. We're going to do let's create a new file. We'll call it Desert Sands Tileset 2. Okay. And then we'll export these files into there. And now if I go back to import, just to show you, import, and we go to Direction System File 2, there the 3 of them are. Okay. There's actually 6 because you have each one has a walk mesh that exported as well. But since you're importing the importing them in the Blender, you only need the model file, the MDL file. You don't need the WOK file that's generated. Alright, well that's basically how to make sure you have what you need, which is your royal base, your lights and stuff, your walk mesh, and the mesh the players will see while in game, and export it. And we'll start to go through the following process on how to get this implemented and as part of a tile set. So that'll be in the next video. We'll start off there, but I'll cut this one off at this point. So I'll see you in the next video.